Don't use that. Why? That's mommy's. Use this if you want to smell like that tea.
You never had to question if you were a man, so why give your money to a corporation that doesn't know if their products are made for men? Try Jeremy Razor's hair and body products. Jeremy shampoo and conditioner are made with tea tree oil to naturally clean and restore your hair and scalp, argan oil to soften your hair and not your masculinity, and aloe vera to moisturize the hair and scalp. It's all paraben-free, sulfate-free, phthalate-free, and most importantly, 100% woke-free. Not to mention, it smells amazing. Go to jeremyrazors.com and use my special code BURNS15 to save 15% off. That's jeremyrazors.com. Use my special code BURNS15 to save 15% off. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host, Chawanne Burns. In today's episode, we are going to discuss Boston, Massachusetts migrant crisis. We have a mayor in Boston that believes that they have enough room in Boston to accept immigrants. And of course, the residents are upset because they are taking over a place where like a community center where all the kids gather and they have basketball, sports like things and after school programs. And since the migrants are taking over the shelter, those programs are shut down. Okay, so we'll talk about more about that. And then we're going to look into Fani Willis. Fani Willis, she tried to avoid being served over the weekend. And this, the sheriff department tried to serve her so she could be subpoenaed for this 15th court appearance. And today, they're going to decide whether or not she needs to appear at court to explain her dealings with Nathan Wade and the accused relationship. Now, one thing that has came out over the weekend, Michael Roman responded back to the court documents that Fani Willis submitted, saying those dates are incorrect. Matter of fact, they have proof that Fani Willis was in a relationship prior to November of 2022. So we'll know more today in regards to Fani Willis, whether or not she will have to show up in court. So we'll talk about that. And then much, much more. We got some Super Bowl stuff that I want to talk about and discuss. So much, much more on today's episode of Business Talk.
Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
All right, you guys put in the chat. Let me know that you can hear me and see me okay. Also put in the chat. Tell me where you are viewing from. We have Hair, Life, and Style TV in the building. Thank you for tuning in. And just type in the chat. Let me know where you're viewing from. And we're going to get started. So our first story for the hour, we're talking about Boston. Now, Boston, I covered Boston before only a few times because of the mayor. We used to fight. Well, not used to. There's been the civil rights movement. We fought against segregation, okay, to desegregate the entire nation. Our ancestors or the people that came before us, we fought tirelessly so that the racial discrimination and desegregation will not happen. But now the story I covered previously on Boston Mayor, she had, colors party. And this was back when they had Christmas. So she had a Christmas colors party or diversity party. But none of the white people were invited. So she invited all the council members that were a different ethnicity other than white. And she got called out on this particular event. So I'm explaining this to you only to give you an overview of how Michelle Wu, that's the mayor, Mayor Michelle Wu of Boston, how she really thinks. She doesn't believe in desegregation. She believes in segregation. Now, so how does this pertain to immigrants? It has nothing to do with immigrants, but the way she is not thinking logically and in common sense, she doesn't make good decisions. Okay. She didn't make a good decision to have that party and invite everybody in her city council. She decided, oh, we're only going to invite the people of color so we could share experiences. So basically, so you could talk about white folks. That's basically what I'm thinking. You wanted to have a party so you could talk about these other people and say hey, we're having a shared experience. Just because another person is from a different race, that doesn't mean they don't have the same experiences as you. Anywho, on immigration. So Michelle Wu is saying that we have enough room in Boston, Massachusetts to house these immigrants. And one of the centers that they took over in Boston, you have your people feeling pretty slighted because of this. They feel very slighted because they took over this center from the people that she said, oh, I want to have a kumbaya moment. The Black community in Roxbury, okay, predominantly Black neighborhood. And they had what is the guy's name? He one of the people that is an activist in the community. He decided to speak out against this madness that they think everyone will be okay of them using this shelter. So let me just share this screen with you. And this is what they are saying on Fox News.
Moving them into a rec center in Boston is now relocating hundreds of migrants who've been sleeping on the floor at Logan Airport, moving them into a rec center in a neighborhood that's called Roxbury. Officials there plan to spend about $500,000 outfitting that facility for housing. A lot of locals whose kids rely on the center for sports and after-school activities are now outraged. The youth and community programs housed in that facility are now left scrambling to find new ones. Joining us now is Domingos DeRosa, Boston resident, also organizer of the Boston Bengals Youth Athletic Organization. Domingos, thanks for being with us. Talk to me, how do you feel about everything that's taking place?
Well, it's disheartening when you pin one community versus the next. Folks here are looking to help and support folks who are coming in to the community. But at the same time, we're also looking for the support we've been asking for decades.
Well, to that point, how do you feel about specifically the fact that the government has now come up with enough money to transform this facility when, as I understand, residents there have been asking for funding for the rec center for a long time?
Well, it shows you the urgency that they take when it comes to matters here in Boston. Depending on what the conditions are, they're quick to move money around and make things happen. Again, this side here, folks have been asking for an upgrade for the last 10 to 15 years. And overnight, we're finding funding to rehabilitate the building to fit the state's needs.
One resident in your neighborhood, a guy named Rodney Singleton, asked the governor why she had singled this facility out, citing it as a predominantly Black neighborhood to requisition and not somewhere else that's more affluent, maybe has more resources allotted to it already. Has the community received any kind of response to that question?
No, not a concrete answer. But again, myself and others who have been having this discussion over years of neglect of Roxbury, we all know it goes back to voting percentages here in this district. They seem to, use Roxbury and certain parts of Boston where Black and brown predominantly people live as areas that they, make changes without asking for the community's approval.
Take a listen to Boston's mayor talking about the folks, the 125 families roughly, who are going to be moved into the rec center.
Their stories are the same as ours. People who just want to try to give their kids a chance and a better life. And we are a little bit stuck in a system where the federal machinery needs a lot of fixing.
How do you feel about those comments?
Passing the buck. You know, this is passing the buck. Boston itself does not have the infrastructure as people might project here. You know, we have families who are always displaced because of natural disasters, fires and things of that nature, emergencies. And, you know, we place them in the Red Cross's hands. And as you know, that's, you know, 1 or 2 days in a hotel. But once that voucher is expired, what do we do next? And we don't have that system here in Boston for residents. So, you know, we don't want to see the buck passed. We want folks to actually take accountability and say, hey, you know, this is a bigger picture, which it is. But at the same time, those same resources that we're looking to provide for others don't exist for Bostonians themselves.
Well, Domingos, we got to leave it there, but like to stay in touch with you on this, see how things shake out moving forward and what the experience is like for you and all your neighbors there. We wish.
Okay, so there you have it. You heard it. The Boston mayor is saying that some of these people, or all of these people, immigrants, have these shared experiences or have a story to fall back on. Okay, what about, like the man said, what about the displaced people that either go on through some type of,
you know, exponentially? I can't even say multiple.
Either went through a natural disaster or they were displaced because their house caught on fire or whatever, homelessness. What about those people? And you heard him say they've been trying to get this facility revamped for about 10 to 15 years. And they've always been told no. But magically, when some immigrants wants to come in, and nothing against the immigrants, when they want to come in, you roll out the red carpet and magically you find this money. So I like to challenge Black folks. If you're in these neighborhoods, these sanctuary cities, I like to challenge you. Stop voting based off of skin color. Stop voting based off of Democratic policies. Because the Democratic policies do not work for us. It doesn't. They never had you in mind. When they make their policies, it's not you in mind. It's for their own gain. And you could see it firsthand today with the immigration crisis. They are invading the Black communities in these sanctuary cities. They didn't ask you whether or not you want them there. And they take away from the already scarce resources that's in those neighborhoods and give it to the immigrants that are illegal. And you've been voting for them for years. You've been keeping them in the office. And they do that. The first chance they get, this is what they do. And they do it every single year. And when election comes around, they talk about, oh, we're going to have a study about reparations. And then we get all riled up and say, oh, yeah, they're talking about reparations. We want to vote for them. No, they're talking about it. They just feeding you. They got a carrot stick on, dangling the carrot stick in front of you and walking away. And you're just following this carrot stick around. And they don't have you in mind. They're just making you focus on this carrot stick. Anywho, so Julia Mija, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's a councilwoman of Boston. Now, she goes to say, hey, you know, we accept migrants, but they can't come to the Roxbury neighborhood anymore or Boston. She wants them to go to these more affluent neighborhoods. I can tell you, Julia, they're not going to do that. I live in an affluent neighborhood. They're not going to bring no migrants out here. They're not going to do it. And that's one of the advantages when you live in an affluent neighborhood. You got more money power behind you, and people tend to vote. Another thing I want to mention, how he said about voting. This is even in Chicago. Majority of the people are not voting. So if you get out and vote and they see you serious, then they're going to be like, oh, okay. Even though they were registered, majority of the people don't vote. So anyway, Julia Mija, she's calling on residents not only to, I guess, plead with the Boston mayor saying, hey, you need to see if those other cities could take the migrants. But she also wants the migrants or residents to house them. She said everybody has to do their part. Now, this first story I'm sharing with you, it's this is her saying, hey, it can't be Boston anymore. It can't be in our neighborhood. It's already reached its migrant capacity.
It's opened up in Roxbury. We reported on it extensively.
Yeah, and the goal here was to provide relief for the capacity crisis that these shelters are experiencing. But we're learning this new shelter is already almost full. NBC 10's Manoj Kwangware has this story.
Well, initially, the Melnia Cass Recreation Center here on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Roxbury was to accommodate some of the migrant families that we saw sleeping on the floor at Logan Airport. But now we're learning families from other temporary housing situations, including a Revere hotel, are now being brought in. Even so, reaching capacity this quick should not come as a surprise. This site can fit 100 families of 4. And last week, an official here telling us 50 families of 4 moved in here just in the first few days. Now, Governor Maura Healey has made it clear this is a temporary living arrangement. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu doubling down this week, saying her administration is still trying to find a more stable home for the migrants. But here's the thing. Boston Council member Julia Mejia says that place can't be in Boston. But last night, she gave us a few options.
Dedham, Wellesley, Brookline, cities and towns that have so much more resources than the city of Boston, people who actually have more financial support. We need to do everything in our power in making sure that we're setting up them for success, right? And whatever success looks like.
A statement sent to us by Governor Maura Healey's office reads in part, quote, we continue to evaluate additional safety net sites, though she did not specify exactly when and where those sites will be made available. I can tell you this site expected to run until May 31st. Right now reporting in Roxbury, Manoj Kwangware, NBC 10 Boston.
Well, so and that report, she's requiring for or calling on other neighborhoods or
when you shop on Amazon.com, there's a good chance
other cities to do their part. That's what she's doing. I don't know why it keeps on doing this, you guys. My bad. Let me just close this out. Okay. Yeah. So she's calling on other cities to do their part or share their experience. I don't know if these other cities are sanctuary cities. Probably not. So they're probably like, screw you. We're not bringing no immigrants to our neighborhood. Let's see who we have in the chat. We have Noble Young, the warrior. Thank you for tuning in. Receipt checker. I don't understand how people can say white people are so racist, which I know some are, but people keep segregating themselves. A well-known college now has downs that have been made just for Black. There's several HBCU. I went to a HBCU college, and I understand the why HBCU colleges exist. But you have where you have different colleges that's not HBCU, and then they will have a Black hall or a segregated hall. Is that necessary? Why go to a university that's not predominantly Black, that doesn't have the status of a HBCU college, and you said, oh, I just want to be in this black hall. Well, what's the point of going to a larger university? I don't understand it. Anyway, receipt checker also says Mexican students and Asian students created by the students, but white students are not allowed to create one because that would be a privilege and a racist. And you're absolutely right. For some reason, they can't define, hey, this is only whatever type of, or whites only, because that would be completely racist. I've always, and this is how I do a checker. If it sounds racist in the reverse, then it's probably racist. If that makes any sense. If I say, oh, this is just for black whatever, and hey, if I name it, this is only for white whatever. If it sounds racist, saying, oh, this is for a white whatever, that means you probably shouldn't do it. That's my own personal opinion. I'm doing some growth because I'm trying to teach my kids, hey, you know, it's not cool. We all got to live here, you know, and the world, especially the United States, is not just you. It's not about you. I covered the story over Sunny Hostin this past Friday. Sunny Hostin from The View. She is so gun-ho about everybody's being racist. And matter of fact, I had a long comment in one of my viewers. She said she completely, even though she views my channel, most of the time she disagrees with me. Then she was saying that she believes Sunny Hostin, blah, blah, blah. That was her experience. Sunny Hostin shared that she was, her son was being called the N-word in Florida, on the Florida beach. And I'm like, I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, but if you look at the demographics of Florida, I mean, unless you're on the Keys or somewhere, most of those people are going to be either black, Latino, Cuban, some type of other descent. Yeah, I mean, you got some white folks out there. But just imagine you're in Florida and somebody calling you the N-word and nobody says anything. Just imagine it. Everybody just like minding their own business. And then to look at Sunny, she's passable for another race. You might think, oh, she could be, if she got a 10, she could be mixed or whatever, Italian or Latino. Or she could be, if she doesn't have a 10, she probably could pass for a white person. So anyway, my point of saying this, she got really upset. She did that ancestry thing, and she was taken aback to find out that she came from colonizers, what they will call colonizers. Her great-great-grandfather, Spaniard, owned slaves. And she was so upset. Well, hello, Earth to Sunny Hostin. Probably every single last one of us probably have some type of other race in us. You know, we really got to open our eyes to that. And for us to say, oh, we don't like another race. Hey, I have a half brother, a brother that's mixed. His children, you know, they could pass for white. I have a niece. She's Italian. You know, all the mixture, and you're hating a different race. It doesn't, to me, it's baffling. Now, if you come from a country of origin, like if you straight African, straight Asian, you know, even when you get into those parts, there's still mixed races, or if you believe race is a thing, ethnicity, because race is just a social construct. So it's just so baffling to me. I got kind of off on a tangent about race, but it's to me, it's baffling. How can you say, I don't like this particular thing or a person because the way they look? And it's like you probably mix with the very same thing that you don't even like. I.e. Sunny Hostin. She cannot stand, and she's very racist. She cannot stand white folks. But she believes in reparations. And instead of her saying, hey, I got to own to the fact, maybe reparations is not really a good idea, trying to make people pay for something that didn't have nothing to do with them. She still is going to die on that hill alone. She didn't even change her mind. Anyway, that's a person that doesn't have any, forethought or common sense. Dwayne Manziel, he said, send them all back. I totally agree with you. The great migration placement theory, replacing minorities who are starting to vote Republican. Yes, you got to do that. But it's and I'm a true believer. Venezuelans, Cubans, some Hispanics, they're not straight Democrats. Once they get here and start doing well for themselves and start looking to see how politics works, they tend to switch to a more conservative side. All depends on what type of people they are. Okay. So anyway, highfalutin Boston lives are two-faced as hell. Highfalutin. Lenny Molly, hello, young lady. I hope you're having a wonderful day, blessed day. I'm always sharing on Choose social media. Keep up the great work. Thank you. And get noticed with Nikki. Hello, fam. Since I found your channel, I have been binge watching. I love your take on all your videos. Keep doing the work. Thank you, Nikki, for joining. And then we have Sandra Rodriguez, Right to Freedom Girl, is in the house. Okay, so let's get back to the story. So this councilwoman, and I'm sharing the screen, it's on Twitter, where she just says, hey, not only, we need to depend on other communities besides Roxbury and other cities besides Boston. She's calling on the residents. She's saying everyone needs to start opening their doors. This is a shared responsibility. Okay. And I'm not for sure if she's calling on the residents or she's saying the different cities, because this is a short clip of this.
Comes as a new report links immigrants who settle in Massachusetts.
Wellesley, Brookline, cities and towns that have so much more resources than the city of Boston.
Boston City Councilwoman Julia Mejia thinks more migrants can be placed outside of Boston.
I think everybody needs to start opening up their doors because this is a shared responsibility.
Controversy over the placement of surging immigrants comes as a new report links immigrants who settle in Massachusetts to economic benefits for the region.
So, why is this a shared responsibility? I would have to push back on that. If I was a mayor of whatever town, hey, I did not dedicate my city, or my residents didn't dedicate or vote our city in to be a sanctuary city, because we know it's okay to have a bleeding heart, but you got to think further from the bleeding heart. We don't have the resources. We don't have the infrastructure to take more people in. We could do a gradual increase, but a substantial increase, that wouldn't be wise for us to do that. So, Julia, I could see, and Michelle, I could see where you're coming from, because you want everybody to take on this responsibilities because you took it on. But that's not how it works. I'm sorry, that's not how it works. And for these ladies to just disregard their own citizens and their own residents in their community and say, oh, we have enough resources. No, you don't. You was neglecting your residents. You were neglecting your residents. And now, and then you're trying to blame the federal government for the neglect. It's like, no, it's really your fault that you decided that you wanted to be a sanctuary city and take on migrants. And now, of course, your people are pissed off about it. Anywho, you guys put in the chat, let me know what you think about that. Now, speaking of migrants, this is just a little side story. Remember, they had a town in Times Square. I didn't talk about this story. This happened over the weekend, Friday night or Thursday night. In Times Square, they had a shooting. They had a shooting in Times Square where a young boy was trying to get away. I guess he was trying to steal something, and he was trying to get away from the police officers. And he ended up shooting. He tried to shoot the police, but he ended up shooting. What is it called? He ended up shooting just a pedestrian, a regular citizen. And this guy, little boy, he's like 15, 16. He's been over here since September of last year. And when they picked this guy up, let me just pull up the story, Times Square. When they picked this guy up, this guy was bawling. Oh, not him. He was bawling, but his mom or whoever was with him was like, crying, "Oh, don't take him away." He literally shot somebody. Now you want to be a baby? You want to be tough? Disregard police, disregard the law, disregard human life. You want to be tough. And then when they find you, you're like, "Oh my God, don't take me away." It's like, okay. Now, it says migrant teen held without bail over concern he would try to flee after chaotic Times Square shooting that injured the tourists. Of course, he's going to try to flee. He shouldn't be over here anyway. It says a 15-year-old migrant who allegedly shot a tourist while firing at a security guard and later aimed his gun at the New York Police Department in Times Square. This is this little boy. Jesus Alejandro Rivas.
Watch out, guys. Watch out. Watch out.
And I'm pretty sure they're probably going to charge him as an adult, and now he's going to take away, when they arrest criminals, who pays for criminals? We do. Hey, you want to be safe out on the street? Well, we have the prison system that we're going to tax you for, So instead of just like maybe deporting him, but I guess he's going to serve time over here and then they'll probably deport him. But it says he then returned home after the incident happened. He then returned to his home and he and his mother immediately began to flee. They packed up all their belongings by 6 a.m. and the next morning they vacated their home and fled out of the city. You came over here, or maybe your mother risked her life probably trying to get over here so you won't be involved in gangs or whatever. And you decided, oh, I still want to be involved in that life. And you decided, hey, F my mom. I just want to do what I want to do. You shouldn't be over here. You should get deported immediately. Just like those other kids that beat up the police officer. You should be deported. Anywho, you guys, this is him crying. And his mama crying. You're crying, but you didn't cry when you pulled that trigger. You didn't really give it any forethought. Oh, let me just pull this trigger. I don't care. I'm just trying to escape. And then if we're talking about gun laws, we don't hear anyone from the Democratic Party. Hey, what about the gun laws? Hey, what about illegal immigrants? You hear silence. This is like the second incident in 2 to 3 days. No one is saying anything. Where's AOC? Oh, we need gun control. Yeah, he wasn't even supposed to have a gun. What do you say about that? He's literally shooting at police officers and security officers, and he's not supposed to have a gun. How did he get one? Hello, you can't control illegal guns. You can't do it. I'm sorry. So anyway, I believe I put wherever I found this post, I put in here, whoever's crying like that, they should get arrested too, because to me, it's really ridiculous. You know your son is bad. You know your son is going out making crazy decisions. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. We're going to get to Fani Willis. Fani Willis, she is they're saying Nathan Wade began relationship before he was appointed to Trump case, defendant says, and this is Michael Roman. This is based off these new filings. Fani Willis claimed, and I have to go back and read the document. This document was 176 pages where Fani Willis, she made 3 claims, or she tried to state her case. Number one, she didn't need to be recused or removed off the prosecuting Trump's and his co-defendants. Number 2, her relationship does not go against any type of ethics, whatever. And number 3, she did not misuse funds. Okay. So those are the 3 points that she made in this 176-page document. And some of the document, in parts of the document, the exhibits that they presented, they had Nathan Wade's hours or billable hours and how much he actually billed the state or Fulton County for his services. Anywho, DA Fani Willis claims that their relationship began, I believe, after he was hired. But Michael Roman is saying, no, she's lying. This relationship began before she was hired. Matter of fact, they began when he was going to DC to prosecute or to coordinate with that White House to prosecute Donald Trump. You guys let me know. I'm still trying to find out what's the details. I guess this will be the ethics committee to see if they're actually coordinating with the White House to prosecute Trump. But anywho, this is what they filed in this new filing. And it's saying the co-defendant in 2020 election interference alleged Friday that Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, the special prosecutor of Nathan Wade, misrepresented facts about their relationship according to the documents filed. Ashley Merchant, attorney representing Michael Roman, alleged that the romantic relationship between the pair began well before Willis appointed Wade to manage her investigation and prosecution of the former President Donald Trump and others. Merchant further alleged that the Wade took Willis on previous unreported trips to Belize and the Bahamas, countering claims that the duo roughly shared travel costs. And it says Friday's response comes ahead of the court hearing next week over the efforts to disqualify Willis Wade and her office for handling the case. I'm surprised Fani didn't know to clean her house when she took this case on. We know that Fulton County and just Atlanta and the attorneys, especially with Black attorneys, it's a really close-knit community. Attorneys, period. Not just with Black attorneys, but attorneys, period. It's really a close-knit community. So, Fani, why wouldn't you clean up your house? Why wouldn't you clean up your closet before you took this case on? So it sounds like Michael Roman is in the know. He knows a lot about Fani, and Fani is up here trying to lie to us, which she didn't even put in the document. She didn't, disclose any information about how many trips they took. She just said, hey, if we did go on a trip, we divided the costs evenly. Anyway, so the DAs acknowledged her relationship last week, but the duo denied any wrongdoing that would merit disqualification. So she's expected to appear on February the 15th, and the DA office wants the motion to dismiss without the hearing. However, Merchant argues that hearing should proceed in Friday's motion. And they're going to decide that today. I think they're supposed to appear, or they're making their decision at about 2:30 this afternoon. And I'm going to play this for you guys. Okay. And it's also saying one of those witnesses is Terrence Bradley, Wade's former partner. So he's corroborating the story that Wade was in a relationship prior to him being hired. That's what he's saying.
Controversy surrounding allegations that she had an improper romantic relationship with a special prosecutor leading the 2020 election case. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis finally responded with a court filing of her own.
11 Alive investigative reporter Zach Merchant has the document. Zach, what are we learning? What does it say here?
We do. We have it right here. We got it just a few hours ago. It's more than 170 pages long. The big takeaway: DA Fani Willis admits to having what she called a personal relationship with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade, but said that should not impact their roles in the case. In a court filing in January, a defendant in the ongoing 2020 election case asked the court to disqualify the DA, accusing her of appointing Wade as a special prosecutor and then financially benefiting from that relationship. But in today's motion, Willis said that is not true. Previous 11 Alive reporting revealed that Wade paid for airline tickets for the pair to fly to San Francisco and Miami, but today Willis wrote that is not the entire case. She said financial responsibility for personal travel is divided roughly evenly between the two, and all expenses paid for with individual personal funds. 11 Alive had also shown in earlier reporting that Wade was paid more than $500,000 more than the two other special prosecutors on the case. But in today's filing, Willis wrote that Wade made much more money than the other special prosecutors only because Wade did much more work. Two Atlanta legal experts, Daryl Cohen and Clark Cunningham, took different views on how they predict today's filing will impact the case ahead of a scheduled hearing next month.
I think that the judge will look at it, and he may, obviously he may do anything, but if I were to guess, he would say this is not going to rise to you having to disqualify yourself or Nathan Wade, but you guys need to be aware that you're under the hardest microscope ever.
I do not think this disqualification matter is going to be resolved at the hearing on February 15th or anytime soon thereafter. I think this is going to be a very, very complicated matter.
That upcoming hearing on February 15th will be the first time these allegations are directly addressed in open court. We, of course, will be there when it happens.
All right, so a big development today, Zach, but that wasn't the only development concerning the DA.
No, it wasn't. In a related matter, but not entirely on this exact topic, the U.S. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan released a letter indicating he subpoenaed documents and information from DA Willis. According to his letter we got a copy of earlier today, Jordan is seeking documents relating to the DA's office's use of federal funds after a conservative news outlet published allegations that Willis fired an employee who tried to stop the misuse of federal funds meant for youth gang prevention programs several years ago. In a statement today, Willis called them false allegations included in baseless litigation from what she described as a former employee who was terminated for cause. It's the latest in a months-long back and forth between Jordan and Willis that Georgia State University law professor Clark Cunningham said may be rooted more in politics than anything else.
I think if someone said that what Jim Jordan did was a political gesture, I wouldn't disagree with that.
So a lot to cover today, a whole lot developing out of Fulton County. We will, of course, keep an eye on all of it.
And we know.
So I just want to point out with Fani Willis, you know, maybe you are a fan of Fani Willis, maybe you're not. I just want to point out, Fani Willis ran on anti-corruption because the person that she replaced had all these sex scandals. She mentioned that she didn't want that her being associated with those types of things. Also, she ran against being involved with any of her subordinates. She said the residents did not or should not be affected by the personal choices that she made. And she claims that she would not have this type of behavior in her office. But instead, three years later, Fani Willis is acting in the same manner of the guy that she replaced. And to me, you're a hypocrite when you say those type of things. If you're going to have a moral code, have a moral code. Stand on that code. And why would you say, hey, I got in my feelings, so now I want to get involved, or I'm lonely? And that's what she preached. Remember, she was in the pulpit. Nobody told me it was going to be a lonely road. Nobody told me if I prosecute Donald Trump, I'll receive death threats. Well, this is common sense, woman. You're prosecuting Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Of course, you're going to have death threats. Not to say they're right. Of course, you're going to be called racist names. Not to say they're right. But this is the territory that you signed up for. Anyway, if you're going to stand on anti-corruption, stand on anti-corruption. So, and it's saying right here, the judge is to decide DA Fani Willis must testify this week. And they're scheduled, the hearing is scheduled for 2 p.m. today, whether the district attorney will be required to testify in another hearing related to the Georgia election interference. Okay, so Michael Roman filed the motion earlier, just to seek disqualification of Fani Willis. Now, the lady that she fired, they had a recording of her warning Fani Willis, hey, so-and-so, whoever was the lady that she fired, boss, so-and-so is I told him he cannot use these funds because this is a very specific grant. He cannot use the funds on what he's intended to use the funds. And Fani Willis, I guess 2 to 3 weeks later, after the conversation that was recorded, Fani Willis fired her. So that sparked the investigation into what the Judiciary Committee is trying to investigate, misuse of federal funding. So Fani Willis, you got a lot of shit that you need to clean up, and it's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. You could try to say or get away from accountability, but it's nobody's fault besides your own. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about that. We'll probably talk about Fani Willis more tomorrow once the decision from the courts comes out. But yeah, stay tuned for that. Okay, so our last story for the hour. You guys, I don't know if you watched the Super Bowl yesterday, but it was very interesting. Actually, it went into overtime. I'm not a sports buff, but I like to talk about, what was going on during the Super Bowl. You have your homegirl. What's her name? Ice Spice was there. Ice Spice, she was in the same booth as Taylor Swift and, all the famous people, I guess, It's because she had a show to do. I'm not familiar with Ice Spice. I know she's really popular with the young kids. I think Candace Owens did a hit piece on her because she has this very vulgar song. I think she's a plant in the industry. I don't see her as being talented or anything like that. But anyway, she was there. But one thing I noticed about Ice Spice is she had this, let me see if I can find it. She had this, what is it called? A cross on, and it was upside down. She had a necklace on, and it was a cross, but she wore it upside down. Very demonic. I mean, this to me, demonic. Why would you wear a cross upside down? Are you into sorcery, witchery, witchcraft? What is the point of doing that? Let me just Taylor Swift. This is Ice. I don't want to play the. Now, the cross is upside down. Why would you have a cross upside down? I'm not for sure. Why would you do? Or is it a cross? Maybe it's just a plus sign. So that was one of the things I wanted to point out. Like, what kind of stuff is going on here? I don't know how old Ice Spice is, but whatever. Why would you do that? And who will encourage you to do that? Anyway, then you have Taylor Swift and I think this is Patrick Mahomes' wife. They getting wasted in the front. Like, women, you 34 years old. Taylor Swift, people think as her being young, you're 34. Who does that? I mean, I know you having fun, but come on now. Who's slamming the cup on the just drink? You're a lady. Act like one. But I guess this is what they want to see. Anyway. So that's one thing I had to say about Ice Spice. And then she gave this very vulgar performance. And people like her. I'm not playing her music because I don't want it to get demonetized. But look what she got on. She's tooting her butt up. It's disgusting. So you see that. I'm not going to show the whole thing, but you see she's tooting her butt up, and she got her, playing her, I guess, her one hit song, and then you got people screaming, and her hit song is not really a hit song. So, but this is what the kids are liking. this is not music. This is just debauchery at this point. You know, if you can't share your music without sharing your body, is it really music? like really, is this an art? If you got to turn around and give me a full moon of what's in your insides, I see your internal organs. Is this really art? Is this really talent? And I would have to say no. But that's what was going on in the Super Bowl. People love it. Then during the Super Bowl, this is just on the talent. To me, he did a good job. You might see some conservatives out there saying, "Oh, they didn't have one." I seen a post like they didn't have one white artist. I mean, okay, if we could say if Usher, if he had some songs with another artist that he paired with that was white, okay, I could see the argument, but what's the big deal? But I think he did a good job because Usher is a classic. He's well known, but you know, on this one particular song, now everybody's talking about Usher coming behind Alicia Keys and giving her a hug, and then they said he groped her. I didn't see that during the interview or during their performance, but this is Usher. Okay, so Usher, I think he sometimes crossed the line because he thinks he's so sexy, but like literally she's married, dude, so cut it out. But you know, they are performing, so maybe they were supposed to act like they're in love because of the song that they were singing. Anyway, Swizz Beatz, that's Alicia Keys' wife or husband, and I guess everybody was like, "Oh, you know, you see Usher caressing, he trying to make his move on Alicia Keys." And so Swizz Beatz was like, "Oh, y'all talking about the wrong damn thing. Y'all don't see the amazing dress covering the entire stadium." And she did have it wasn't a dress, it was like a cape, but it was beautiful. And tonight's performance was nothing but amazing. And two amazing giants. Congrats, Usher and my love, Alicia Keys. The song is a classic. We don't do negative vibes on the side. We make history. Go see Giants at Brooklyn Museum. It's open until July. Blessings. Okay, so he's just putting a post out there. He's not really worrying about what Usher did on the stage because they were performing. Okay. But the last story I want to talk about on the football, about the Super Bowl. I think something's wrong with Travis Kelce. And maybe it's just because was amped up. He has a lot of testosterone running in his system. But to me, this was kind of like, are you on drugs, dude? Like, to me, I thought he was like really extreme. And then another thing, why did they talk to Travis, what's his name? Travis Kelce. Why did they talk to him? Why didn't they talk to Patrick Mahomes well, I could see why they didn't do that because they've won 3 Super Bowls in a row. It's like 3 Super Bowls in a row that they won. But anyway, this guy was on 900. First of all, he gets in his coach face.
He comes over to Andy. He goes, "Keep me in." What happened is on the
he's telling them to keep him in. Not for sure why. I guess a play was called and they said, "Oh, pull him out." He's not Travis Kelce. He's a tight end. So whatever play happened, he pulled him out. And he getting mad as hell at him because he pulled him out. Like, what is your problem? But, you know, after the game, the coach, I believe his name is Andy, right? The coach was like, "Oh, this is how we communicate. He always does this all the time." Okay, so we'll give you that. Look at him. He hyped up. So he's like, man, you took me out, coach. I'm supposed to be in there. So he hyped up. We could say that's the adrenaline rush being hyped during the game. I give him that. But then you got some people, this is Disruptor. I don't know if you guys remember him. He was fired from being, I guess he talked about anti-gay. But anyway, he's saying this is what white supremacy looks like, folks. You do and say whatever you want before the world and no consequences. I'm not for sure. I'm not for sure if that's a stretch. I'm not for sure if that's something to say about what he's doing. I know he's hyped up. He didn't hit the guy, but it's like, okay, why would you damn near knocked over your coach? Okay. I think he just hyped up. But then this happened. Right here. To me, this guy. You happy you won the Super Bowl, but then you say this. You didn't practice. You didn't practice no speech. It's like, okay. This is what you say.
Y'all hear this? We've been fighting for all right all day. How about a little Viva Las Vegas? Viva Las Vegas! Viva! Viva Las Vegas! Hey, Elvis never had it better than that right there. Let me tell you, to win this one, when we met a couple of days ago, you said, and I'm not looking ahead, but we got a lot more we want to do here, baby. You said we want a three-peat. How about that? Well, the goal's always been to get 3, but we couldn't get here without getting to 2 and having that target on our back all year. And I love these guys right here, the men that we just won this thing with. Family forever, baby. I couldn't be more proud of you guys. And how about it? We get a chance to do it 3 times in a row. How do you get excited for that, baby? You go party in Las Vegas and get back to it. Hey, you still got to fight for your right, don't you? You got to fight for your right.
I'm only laughing because he's so amped up. It's like, okay, are you in drugs? You on drugs? But maybe it's not nothing like that. He's just amped up. I've been amped up like that before. Not that extreme, but so anyway, people are saying, talking crap about him. It says Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift just stole the show at the Super Bowl. You would think he was the MVP, And so, you got people in their memes saying I'm not over vaccinated. I mean, I like Travis Kelce to a certain extent, but he's pretty amped up. But this is what he said afterwards about, the little, I wouldn't even say confrontation. He just got in his coach face. This is what he said.
I got the greatest coach this game has ever seen. He's unbelievable at not only dialing up plays and having everybody prepared, but he's one of the best leaders of men that I've ever seen in my life. And he's helped me a lot with that, with channeling that emotion, with channeling that passion. And I owe my entire career to that guy and being able to kind of control how emotional I get. And I just love it, man.
Was it frustrating? So he said he owes his coach, everything of, his entire career of how to control his emotions. But you seem like you was pretty out of control. You guys put in chat. How do you feel about Travis Kelce? Put it in chat. I think he's an interesting person. He is an interesting person. I think, and let me say, I think he's an opportunist. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because, okay, first you was taking the knee. You guys remember that, like 3 years ago, he's kneeling. You're kneeling through the national anthem. And then now, and I guess you was down for the cause because you was dating a black woman. Now, you know, you got a woman that's real liberal. That's a white woman. And now you're vaccinated 9 times. You got a commercial being vaccinated. It's like, it seems pretty odd to me that, and I don't even think it was from one extreme to another. I just think he's an opportunist. That's what I get from him. I don't know. You guys put it in the chat. How do you feel about Travis Kelce? And it's funny because his brother was standing on the sidelines looking at him like, what is wrong with you, dude? His brother, y'all didn't see his brother when he was giving his speech. He was looking at him like, isn't this his brother right here? He's like, come on, dude, shut up. Why is he acting like this? Or maybe he's like, oh, there's Travis again. Don't know. So those are the things that I want to talk about the Super Bowl. You know, that's all I gotta say about that. You know, I said that was our last story, but I just wanted to cover this. Now, we talked about Joe Biden being really old, and that report came out saying, hey, we're not going to prosecute him because Joe is too old to prosecute. The jury will take sympathy on him. They didn't think the documents that he took from the White House was of ill intent, and his memory. They said his memory is pretty shaky. They didn't use those words, but that's basically what they said. Vivek Ramaswamy was on Fox News, and I agree with Vivek. I totally agree. It says Biden will not be the Democratic nominee. Get ready for Michelle Obama. This is what he put on his post. And this is what he had to say.
Biden, what do you think? Look, I think the very bad day for President Biden. What do you think?
Look, I think the number one takeaway, Trace, is this. Joe Biden will not be the nominee. I said this last year. People dismissed it as some type of conspiracy theory. Today, I think it became that much more obvious. Play this out. Biden's own DOJ and special counsel is effectively releasing a report that undermines the case for him to actually be a candidate for the U.S. presidency, right as Biden's poll numbers are cratering. We have to do the math, skate to where the puck is going, not fall for the deflection. But I do think what they're planning for is to sideline Biden as the nominee, trot in a different puppet instead. That's the most significant takeaway from tonight.
Very bad day for President Biden.
So you guys, let me know, how do you feel about that? I know he mentioned Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama's been giving a lot of talks. She's been in the public lately, in the public eye lately. Not for sure if it sounds to me, and this is when was in our White House. When Obama was in the White House, Michelle, I know she was on several news outlets or shows saying she really had to think about him running for a second term. So I don't know if Michelle is running, but it will be interesting to see that they will put Michelle over Kamala Harris. I know Kamala is not a favorite choice. And then there's been some talk about Gavin Newsom. I think that would be a nail in the coffin for the Democratic Party if they try to push Gavin Newsom, because Gavin Newsom has done a horrible job with California. Horrible job. So I don't know where the Democratic Party is going to go from here. But I don't care, because I'm voting for Donald Trump 2024 all the way. Anyway, so that was it for our business talk. You guys remember to subscribe, like this channel. I do have another channel that you guys could subscribe to, so do me a solid. It's Chawanne Burns 2.0. Let me just share that with you if I can find it. And I'm up to 317 subscribers on that. Some people, they're probably viewing me from that channel. And I only post political commentary on this channel. On this channel, my main channel, I'll probably post some business content, credit content. Matter of fact, I got another credit video that's going to come out later on this week. But yeah. So that's that. So subscribe to this channel as well. On all social media platforms, Chawanne Burns. It might be the Chawanne Burns or just Chawanne Burns, Chawanne B. So every single platform. So follow me on, wherever you at besides YouTube. Anyway, I am sending all my good to you. I really appreciate every single one of you. And you guys have a great evening.